Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today we are going to be reviewing Violet Thistlewaite Is Not a Villain Anymore. I read this book for my virtual book club. It was our January pick for Read with Sin's Workshop. Let me tell you, loved it. Absolutely fucking loved it. This is such a cozy romantasy. It follows Violet Thistlewaite. She doesn't want to be a villain anymore. You know, the story starts, she's the Thorn Witch, right? And she worked for Guy Shadowfade, who basically raised her, you know? They have a really complicated relationship, these two. He really was like a toxic parent, but he really did teach her a lot, and you can see as the story develops that in his own twisted way, he did love her. Like, even when he was dying, he wanted her to get away. Even though, you know, he's like, Petal, run. It's like his life's in danger. And instead of like most villains who would kind of like throw their sidekick to the wolves to save themselves, he turns to her and he says, run for it. Like, run for your life. So they have a really complicated relationship, but he made her do a lot of horrible things, and that's something she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. So after his demise, she goes to Dragon's Rest. It's a little town, you know, beneath the shadow of his castle. And she decides to open a flower shop. You know, she wants to bring beauty into the world. She wants to bring goodness into the world, right? And I think it's just really funny. Like, her whole dynamic. You know, she's like, be good, be good, be good. You know? But a rose with its thorns is still it's still beautiful. You know? The thorn doesn't diminish it. And it's not her magic that makes her evil. It's what she chose to do with it that made her evil. Right? Magic itself, as the book does discuss quite often, magic is not evil. You know? Magic is not evil. And I think this translates a lot to, you know, real life. You know, things are not evil. It's what you as the person choose to do with it that either make it good or evil. And in Violet's case, now she just wants to do good. Even if that's just, you know, making flowers and making bouquets. You know? She wants to start new. She wants to redeem herself. Not for anyone, but for herself. You know, she wants to find her own self-love and self-worth as the story goes on. Now, it's a dual POV novel. We've got to talk about Nathaniel, her grumpy, grouchy landlord slash work neighbor. He owns the apothecary next door, renting out half the space of the greenhouse to her. Much to his cringe. That's what his twin sister Prue's like, nope. This is, you know, what we need. We need to save the shop. This is what we're gonna do. First of all, Prue's amazing, and I fucking love her. She's such a great character. But, like I said, Nathaniel's just a grumpy sunshine. And first of all, what's really, really amazing for this book is between many of the chapters, they each have chalkboard signs outside their shops, right? And they have this like witty banter going on between them with the signs. And I'm like, that's cute. Wordplay, puns, love it. I love it so much. It was one of the best parts of reading this book were those chalkboard signs. Because you're seeing them interact with each other without actually seeing them interact with each other. They're fighting with their words in adorable ways, you know? The pen is mightier than the sword. And Nathaniel himself, he has a lot of baggage. You know, he went to the Crucible, he studied alchemy, he worked for the Queen, and a lot of his alchemical invention studies ended up being used probably for ill when he wanted to go, because he wanted to translate alchemy into apothecary work to make it something more useful to help people. But then, you know, he got windswept, and now he's like disillusioned, and he has like a chip on his shoulder because the thing he loved most in the world is being used, you know, for ill, or was used for ill. So he's really disillusioned with the Queen and with the Crucible and what it means to be an alchemist, you know? He's like, no, my mom was right. Alchemy is bad. It's like, no, again, alchemy itself is not bad. It's what you choose to do with it that makes it bad or good. It's the person behind the alchemy, the person behind the magic. That's what makes it good or bad, how it's being used. So them falling in love with each other, you know, their banter, becoming friends, and then slowly falling in love, and then I love a well-written sex scene. I really do. There's a reason I don't read a whole lot of smut, and it's because a lot of the sex scenes just, they make me cringe, you know? I don't really like reading smut because the sex scenes are just like cringy to me. Like, they're very cringy, and I don't really like them a lot, you know? However, when you have a good plot and a really good, well-written romance building between the two characters, and it just comes to that explosion, that sex scene can either make it or break it. Pardon me. And it made it because it was so well written. Because it wasn't just about the sex, right? It was about the emotion behind the sex. It was about the awakening of their relationship with one another. You know, it was so well written. It was very emotive. It was very steamy. It was very spicy, that one scene. And it only happens the one time, too. And that's another thing why I don't read smut a lot. Because I don't need repetitious sex scenes. Because I feel like it just kind of, like, takes away from the romance aspect. This one, it added to it. Like, you know they have sex a couple more times. But they don't really go into detail into it. It's just like, well, we could do it again. You know, they just make those sly little quips about it, referencing it. So that's what I really, really enjoyed with the plot and with the story. It was well written. It was funny. It was humorous. It was thought. I know those are synonymous with just letter. Just bear with me. Going through my trains of thought. Funny, humorous. It was emotive. You know, it was thoughtful. It was romantic. It was action-packed. You know, everything just kind of came ahead to the end, and it was just, like, so well written. It was cute and quirky. You know, you've got Daisy, the rescue dog, and then you've got, what is it, Bartleby? Yeah, you've got Bartleby, the plant that likes to wield knives and try to kill her, and she'll just be like, if you kill me, who's gonna water you? It's just so funny, you know? And then you have Perry, the dragon, the rock goblin that takes the form of like a little mini dragon, and he's adorable. It's adorable. This was such a fun, cozy romantasy, and it's the things that I love. And it was such an easy read. Like, I blew through it. I blew through this story because it was so well written, and it was so engaging, and it was so captivating. Absolutely, 100%. Love this book. No notes. None whatsoever. It was perfect. Even when he makes that cheesy joke about her boobs, and he's like, you've been hiding these underneath these baggy shirts. And I'm just like, a part of me, like me saying it, I'm like, I should have cringed at that. And I didn't, you know, because of how it was written. Because of the tone of the passage, because you knew where we were going with this, you know? I thought it was just no notes. Perfection. I loved it. It was great. It was great. No notes. It was great. Everyone needs to read this book. That's it. That's all I have to say on the matter. In any case, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with our book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.